welcome back to Cooking with Mrs. Kennedy. Today we are making cake pops. I'm so excited about these cake pops, and I want to remind you before you make this recipe or any other, go check out my video on the 4 things you need to do before you start cooking and washing your hands. So let me tell you what I've already done to prepare for the cake pops. First of all, I took a white cake mix, just a box cake mix from the store, and read the back of the cake box instructions, added the eggs, the oil, the water, mixed it up, and I baked it in a 9 by 13 pan. And then I let it cool overnight. Now we're going to cut it up into 4 different pieces, just equal quarters. And so then after it is broken in quarters, I'm going to cut each of those quarters in half. Okay, one of these is coming out. There's 1/4 of the cake. Let me move that out of the way. And I'm going to cut this in half. So I've got my 2 halves here, and I want to take the skin of the cake off. This darker outer layer that will pretty easily peel off. I want to peel that off, and on this other side too. It's still yummy and tasty. It's just doesn't crumble as well as the inside of the cake. So take as much of that off as you can. It won't hurt it if some gets in there. And then I'm going to take my 2 pieces of cake and I'm going to rub them together. And here, I'm going to go to a different side here and make a lot of crumbs of cake. So I'll check back here with you when I've made a bunch of crumbs. Okay, I've got a bunch of cake crumbs. And if you had some bigger pieces, just take your fingers and kind of break them up, or get a fork out and kind of just break them up a little bit. So once you've got a big, huge bowl of crumbs, you take about 1 cup and 1/4 of frosting. I've got a cup of frosting right here that I'm going to add in, and I'm going to save out that extra cup, 1/4 cup, until I see if I really need it, because you don't want it to be too goopy. So I'm just going to mix this in until it forms kind of like it's all incorporated, so that the frosting and the cake is all mixed together. This is kind of like folding, like when you fold an ingredient into another so that it doesn't get, like when sometimes you fold egg meringue. When you make meringue, you'll fold it into something, or you'll fold whipped cream into something. This is kind of the same thing, so that you're not completely stirring, you're kind of turning up under and bringing it over. And I am going to add the extra frosting. So about 1/4 cup more. All right, mix that in. I can see that the crumbs are sticking together, and that's what will hold the cake pop ball together. So what we're going to do after this is we're going to form it into balls, and we're going to put them on a pan and stick them in the refrigerator for a couple hours. Or if you're kind of in a hurry, you can put it in the freezer for about 15 minutes. You definitely don't want your cake pops to be frozen when you are putting the popsicle stick or the lollipop stick in there, because that'll make them crack, or you might not even be able to get the lollipop stick in there. Oh yeah, see, that's perfect. See, it's kind of forming, almost looks like a dough. So you don't want them to be frozen, you just want them to be very chilled. Okay, I'm going to start forming the balls now. Okay, this is a lot like cookie dough. It kind of has the same feeling as cookie dough does. So what you want to do is you want to get a nice, like a tablespoon amount. I'm using a cookie scoop. You could use a tablespoon measuring spoon, or a spoon that you eat your cereal with. Then you roll it into a ball, and then we're putting it here on a cookie sheet or a sheet pan that has wax paper on it. You could use parchment paper too. And then once we're done, should make about 48 cake pops. Wow, that's a lot of cake pops. So once you get them all rolled out, we're gonna put it in the refrigerator, and 2 or 3 hours is gonna go by, and I'll see you after that time. Okay, my cake pops are still chilling, and I'm gonna get my candy melts ready so that I can dip them. So you need some candy melts in whatever color you like. You want a microwave safe bowl that's narrow and tall. And then you add about, maybe let's say a half a bag of these, you need about a half a teaspoon of coconut oil or shortening to kind of thin out the candy melts. So I'm gonna microwave these now for 1 minute on half power or 50% power, or even you could call it the defrost setting. And then I'm gonna microwave on that same 50% power in 30-second increments, stirring until it's completely melted. Okay, my cake pops have been chilling and my melts are completely melted, and I'm gonna need some lollipop sticks. So I'm gonna take my lollipop stick and just put about 1/2 inch of it into the melts, and then center it and push only about 1/2 inch into one of the cake pops. Put that in there, swirl it around, bring it out, and let it drip. Now you gotta be really patient with this part, and this is when it's really important that they're well chilled, because that'll make that melts, those chocolate melts, set up. You only want to pull like 5 or 6 of them out of the refrigerator at one time and work with those, and then go get 5 or 6 more. Okay, this is still dripping just a tiny bit. Be really patient with it. And then once all of the chocolate that's going to drip off does, you need something to set them in so that they have a chance to completely set up. This is a item that we bought at the store that has holes in it that is specifically for cake pops. It was only like $3 or $4, or you could get a piece of styrofoam and set it in that, or get creative and do something else. And then once they're completely set up, you can take these and decorate them any way you want. If you wanted to put sprinkles on this, you would add the sprinkles now. As soon as you've let all the extra chocolate drip off, you would add sprinkles before it completely hardens. And if you wanted to like pipe on some frosting with the design, you would want to wait until it completely set up and was completely solid. See, they become very solid, and then you would decorate it then. Or if you wanted to make this into like a little animal, you could then put little tiny, I'm sure you could come up with all kinds of ideas that you find online. So until next time, kids, have fun cooking.